Welcome to the next in the series of videos on laboratory activities on Ohm's law. So in this we're going to see how you can choose resistors for your LEDs. So for this you need few LEDs, few batteries, a breadboard and a few bunch of resistors that you can buy from your nearby market. So you get LEDs of different types. So you have these yellow, then white, green, red, etc. So each of these LEDs have slightly different specs in the form of, they have the forward voltage. That's more like you can see it as a operating voltage. And you have, slightly these operating voltages are different for green, blue, white, UV versus red, orange, yellow and yellow, green. You also have the maximum current specification for these LEDs operating in this voltage. You will have, around about 20-25 milliamps is what you can expect for these LEDs. So first, let's see what happens if you, before that, let's see a LED. So LED has got these two ends. These are typically non-ohmic resistors. And you have a long end which is supposed to be positive, and then you have the short end which is supposed to be the negative. So let's see what happens when you connect the short one to positive and the long one to negative. So you see there is no light. And if you do it opposite way, you see light, but you also see that this LED has got burned. And the reason why we burned this is because we have a 9-volt battery. So this LED, you can smell the burning smell from this. So this LED is gone. So we got to throw this. So how to save this? How to save the LED and from operating with a power battery like this? So that's what this activity is all about. So we've seen that your LED gets burnt up if you operate it beyond the maximum current or the voltage. So here is a situation we have. So we have this LED that requires about, and that's a symbol of that diode. So you need about 3.3 volts, and this requires approximately the 3.3 will draw about let's say 25 milliamps of current. But what you have is a 9-volt battery. So this is 9 volt. So we need to somehow take away the excess energy that is delivered by this battery. And the way you do that is you can connect a resistor. And we don't know the value of this resistor yet, but once we find the right resistor and we connect to this 9 volts, we want such that you will have a drop of 9 minus 3.3, which is, so you have this 9 volts, which is a gain, and then you want across R a loss of 5.7 volts, and across the LED and the 3.3 volts. So that's a potential diagram. So that's about 5.7 volts. That's what we need. And the current in the circuit should be about 25 milliamperes. That gives us a hint to calculate your R. So your R value is going to be V by I. That's 5.7 volts divided by 25 milliamps. And that's going to be about, you can do your decimals and all, 0.025 amps. That'll be about 228 ohms. Now since I don't have 228 ohms and I have about 100 ohms resistor, so I'm going to achieve this 228 ohm by connecting 200 ohm resistors in series. So this is pretty close to 228. So I should be fine with this. So here I have in this breadboard, I have this LED connected to two of these resistors in series. And once I have that, let me give the 9 volts. the 9-volt battery. Let me give the power to these, and it's not glowing up. So I know that that's because of the polarity difference. In LED you got to have the right polarity. So you give this, and here you go. So you have LED glowing up, and this time this is not burning up because you have about 5.7 volts drop by these two resistors, or maybe a little less now because we are using 200 instead of 228, and the rest of it is by the LED. Okay, so now if you want to connect, let's say you want to connect 4 LEDs. So you want to connect now these 4 LEDs in parallel, and you want to light up. So you have the circuits like this. You have 4 LEDs. Now each of this LED is going to be drawing about, we want it to draw about 25 milliamperes. So that's 25 milliamps, same. And I want the drop to be, 3.3, which is under the operating specs. So you have to find out your resistance such that this will fetch a drop of, this resistance will fetch again a drop of 5.7 volts. These 25 milliamps will add up to about 100 milliamps. You can, all the current adds up. So now you can find the value of resistance again. The value of resistance is going to be V by I, and that's the energy drop that you need divided by 100 milliamps. And this is going to be about 57 ohms. So since we don't have about 57 ohms, what we plan to do is we plan to connect 2 resistors of 100 ohms each. So these 2 resistors of 100 ohms will give me about 50 ohms of resistance. So let's do that. So we have these 4 LEDs, and I'm going to somehow fit in my resistance and connect it. Okay, there you go. So I've connected the first one, and now I have to connect one more in parallel. So exactly the same holes I plug in my next resistor. That's it. So I have plugged it in, and now let's see what happens when I give the power from both the ends. So let's try. We don't know what polarity is. Okay, so let's do the opposite. Wow. So there you go. All the 4 LEDs are lighting up, and it is drawing about 100 milliamps of current from this battery. Usually in your battery, if you start drawing a lot of current, so instead of 4, if you have about 10, then you are going to draw about 10 into 25, which is 250 milliamps. So let's say instead of 10 you have 100, so that's 2500 milliamps. So the battery has typically a limitation of how much current it can give. So anything over about 500 milliamps, which is about 20 LEDs, it's not a good idea for using your battery, right? You may, even at that rate, your battery will die very soon. So if you have a lot of LEDs, you may want to go for using adapters. And adapters can deliver a few amperes of current, let's say 1 ampere or so of current, which can support a lot of LEDs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.